here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We are down to 39 laps to go, still under our 6th caution for the 2-car crash involving Townsend Bell and Ryan Briscoe. There is Townsend's car on the hook heading back to the garage area. Let's take a look at this one more time with, we go on board with Ryan Briscoe.
The 99 on the right-hand side, Townsend Bell. He's up on the high side. He wants to work his way down towards the apex. Probably does not know that Ryan Briscoe in the 6 machine that you're riding with, the Penske car, is down there. He should have been told that by his spotter. The 2 cars collide, and then obviously the tires start to rub, and they draw each other into the wall. Now, this is Bell just a little bit earlier on, got mixed up in traffic ahead of him.
You okay?
So he probably just touched the wall slightly with that right front.
Inside, hold your line, inside, still
Well, what happened here is he got flustered on the restart.
But his spotter is also telling him that somebody's on the inside.
Yeah.
And he still goes down there.
He said, hold your line.
Yeah, I don't think you can blame the spotter on that.
So the cleanup continues here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We now have 39 laps remaining here at the greatest spectacle in racing.
LeBron James, Dirk Nowitzki, 2 former MVPs, but only one will cement his legacy with a title. Who will be etched in history as a champion? Mavericks Heat. Coverage of Game 1 of the NBA Finals begins Tuesday at 8:30 Eastern on ABC.
And that'll be a fun series to watch. Right now, we have some interesting strategy unfolding. But boy, it's been a rough day for Roger Penske, and there he is. His team has struggled. I mean, he has said many, many times, you cannot make mistakes in this race. Back early in the event, this was Will Power. Watch the left rear tire. The changer saying, don't go. He went. Then Ryan Briscoe ends up in a 2-car crash just recently here, bringing out our 6th caution with Townsend Bell. And just before that, there is Elio Castroneves running over some debris and ending with a cut tire. Got some cars coming down pit road now, and this is going to help that strategy. And Dario Franchitti has pulled in, Jamie Little.
And all the other cars were watching the 10 to see if he would pit, and they wanted to come as well. They're going to fill it as full as they can get it. Remember, they ran out of fuel on their qualifying lap last week. It's key to get it filled up here. They're still going to be a couple laps short, Doc.
Standing with Roger Penske. Roger, normally when you're thinking about Team Penske at this place, you're talking about perfection and victory. Today, all 3 of your teams have had an issue. Can you put it in perspective for us?
Well, it's a tough day, but, you know, we got to execute. I said that earlier before we started the race, and I think this unfortunate accident with Briscoe, because he'd worked up nicely. Elio cut a tire, but again, we got some fast cars. Ganassi's executing here. We'll see what happens at the end, but this is a great place, but a tough place to win.
Roger Penske, you're putting it in perspective here. Still got 2 bullets to be able to maybe get a shot before this is over.
We come back to green flag racing. We'll talk about those guys that pitted right before going back to green. It's Oriol Servia leading the way with Graham Rahal. That's right, Graham Rahal, the 22-year-old in 2nd place. Dixon, here we go down the front straightaway. Rahal wants the lead. Look at the slicing and dicing through the field. And Rahal's going to take it. The last time that was said at this place was 1986.
Smooth and fast, smooth and fast.
Servia.
Car out there, just hit your marks, hit your marks.
Rams radio, his spotter telling him, hit your marks. Side by side through the corner. That is Thomas Scheckter as he moves into the 4th position. Right behind him in 5th is Tony Kanaan. So it's Rahal, Servia, Dixon, Scheckter, Kanaan. And you're saying, wait a minute, what happened to Franchitti? Well, remember, those guys that stopped, they're trying to make this in this last stop.
And it's feasible.
And there goes Dan Weldon underneath Tony Kanaan. Dan Weldon has got his foot on the peg right now, trying to make up some time.
Weldon in that 5th position, 1.6 seconds behind the lead. He has 7 push to pass left.
And Rahal has 5.
Let's explain that for anybody tuned in late, Scott.
There again, a button on the steering wheel. Push the Honda, push to pass. You end up getting a few hundred extra RPMs, more horsepower. and you get 15 tries at that throughout the event, and it will last for 18 seconds. You have to really use them conservatively because you know you're going to have to want those towards the end of the race, Eddie.
But it's not a magic button. You just don't develop wings and pick up and fly past the car. You have to have everything in perfect order, get right behind him in the toe, and it just gives you that extra oomph to get by somebody.
Of the 13 cars on the lead lap, the person who has the most push to pass remaining, Oriol Servia. He has 12. Graham Rahal, our leader, has 5. And second place, Servia is closing on him again. There is Dad, Bobby Rahal. Now, Rahal's got his own car in this fight, and that's Bertrand Baguette. Baguette not in the top 15. Yes, he is. He's in 9th place. Let me correct that. As he's got a good run going, but right now he's got one eye on Baguette and one on his son. Rick, let's get an update. What's Dad thinking about?
I think he's happy on both counts right now. It's been interesting. He's got just enough time he can watch Graham go by. After Graham goes by, his head whips back, and he looked for Bertrand Baguette to see how he's doing, realizing Baguette, who's slowly, peaceably gone up and is running in 9th place right now. But the thing is, his son is leading the Indy 500. You've got to think that's weighing pretty heavily on him right now. Thinking about that, Doc? Just before Graham Rahal climbed in the car today, I asked him, I said, do you think when you hear the Rahal name announced, do you think of pride or pressure with that name? He said, you know, the pride is when I go to the museum and I see my dad's car and see how he won it in all the pictures. He said, but on race day in this race car, it's all about pressure. Being a Rahal has expectations, and today I need to start living up to them.
And as you finish up, Doc, everybody saw Scott Dixon get around Oriol Servia for second place. Here comes Tony Kanaan. He is going around Servia. Move Tony into the 3rd position in those oh-so-familiar colors from 1965. The number 82, the same paint scheme driven by Jimmy Clark when he won the first rear-engine win.
And you can tell the patience is going out the window. Everybody's taking every pass they can, and they're trying to line themselves up for those last 20 laps. And I think Kanaan is on a roll.
We have 30 laps remaining in this race. Doc, give us an update on Tony Kanaan.
Tony Kanaan has passed a total of 49 cars for position. He just told the team, he said, you don't have to pay me twice, but I've gone to the back twice and come to the front twice. He said, you guys have me a great car. And oh, by the way, Tony said in a quiet moment this week, he told his 4-year-old son, Leonardo, if I win this thing, I might retire. And then he thought about it and said, you know what, I want to win this race, but I don't want to retire. I hope Leonardo doesn't remember what I said.
We would forgive him if he did. Look at Graham Rahal. He's under attack right now. Battle for the lead, heading into 1. Here comes Scott Dixon. He retakes the lead. It'll be our 19th lead change between 8 different leaders.
And when a car passes you going into 1, you lose momentum, and Kanaan has to take advantage of that and get as close as he can to Rahal.
The top 4 was in your screen right there. As there is Scott Dixon. He is out in front, and the laps are winding down. Our telecast presented by GoDaddy.com.
Do you have any idea how fast you were? Hey, I know you.
Yeah?
You're that GoDaddy girl. I love GoDaddy.com domain names, websites, hosting.
Less than $1 a month.
Affirmative. You know, I've always wanted to be a GoDaddy girl. Well, you seem to have what it takes. Oh, I definitely have what it takes.
See what happens next at GoDaddy.com.
For 125 years, Sunoco's been propelling people forward to their destinations and to their victories. And as of 2011, we'll do the same for some of the world's greatest drivers as we become an official fuel partner of IndyCar. We'll fuel their victories the same way we've been fueling yours. Because winning is the greatest feeling in the world.
That's why there are 5 new Civics. The next generation Civic, only from Honda.
So what happens if I'm in an accident and need to get my car fixed?
Progressive makes it easy because we give you choices. You can pick where to get your car fixed. We can cut you a check. Or at our service center, we take care of everything for you.
Oh, so many choices.
Take your time.
The service center.
Okay.
Giving you choices. Now that's progressive. Call or click today.
ABC Tuesday, June 21st. A new drama series takes you to the most dangerous place on earth.
That young woman would have died without an operation. It was my duty to treat her.
Life on the edge means doing things you never thought possible.
Nothing prepared me for this place.
What can I say? Welcome to Kandahar.
ABC's Combat Hospital. Series premiere Tuesday, June 21st on ABC.
What a finish we've got in score. The Iceman leads, but Tony Kanaan, who's never won the 500, is on the move. And then Graham Rahal, 25 years ago, his daddy Bobby, a winner here. And oh yes, Danica Patrick on the move. She is all the way up to 6th. Come on back. It's going to be a furious finish at the Indianapolis 500 as they celebrate their centennial.
Lanterns, we face an enemy powerful enough to destroy entire civilizations. To fight this enemy, the ring chose a human.
The Green Lantern Corps has served as the keepers of justice throughout the universe.
Anything I see in my mind, I can create.
You gotta help me save my world.
Good luck, Green Lantern.
Green Lantern, rated PG-13, June 17th.
Got it. Don't be the last to know. Get it faster with 4G. It's the network of possibilities. AT&T.
There's one thing
Keep coming. Here we are. Come on over.
Graham Rahal has pulled in for his final pit stop.
Doc, Graham Rahal, final stop for the day. He said this is go time now. Slight air pressure change. Perfect pit stop down and away. They said drive it and go get him. Jamie.
Oriol Serbia in the 2 says he has more understeer than ever. Front wing adjustment. There it is. 4 tires. Fill it up. This car has been fast. A little bit extended. 8.9-second pit stop for Oriol Serbia.
Dan Weldon also made his pit stop. Here comes Scott Dixon. He peels off from the race lead. Coming your way, Jamie Little.
And they have 2 different sequences going on right now. Dario Franchitti, of course, hit it just a little while ago. Scott Dixon needed to fill it up here. He too saying his car is okay. We're gonna have to wait and see. They make last-minute adjustments. If he says yes, make a wing adjustment. On the front, they're gonna fill it up. 4 tires. Let's see if they go to the front. As you see the probe go in, the onboard camera is on. Scott Dixon, who has dominated this race today. They go around to the back. It's a quick stop. He's down and away. Marty.
And as we check out on track, guess who the new race leader is for the 2nd time in her IndyCar career? Danica Patrick. Remember, she made her pit stop back on lap 159. She is still going to have to stop. Vince, what do you got on the fuel situation?
Danica Patrick is about 4 to 5 laps shy on fuel. She cannot make it to the end, certainly under green conditions, but she is out front, and they're trying to get her to push as far as she can, to build as much of a lead as she can, to give her a little bit of extra time to come in for that splash, as you see her father, TJ, trying to celebrate the fact his daughter is in first place.
She has 9 laps in hand in the fuel department over Thomas Scheckter. Bertrand Baguette in 3rd, also pitted with her on lap 159. And there is Ed Carpenter as he has brought it in for his final stop. He was running in the 6th position when he pulled it in. He's made the service stop. He's back out. And we have 20 laps to go here at Indianapolis.
It's game time.
Game time, but for Danica Patrick, she really can't throttle back and start to run a slower pace because there's still so many fast cars in this race right now. They will catch her up very, very quickly. What she really needs now, Eddie, is something to happen on track in a yellow that would allow her to stay out front and conserve fuel and then have enough to go to the end once the restart happens.
The first time she led the 500 was back in 2005. Today is the second, and remember, she was not all that pleased with her car.
Vibration's getting a little hard.
Just vibration.
What'd you say there? Vibration. I copy. Is it bad enough to come in?
No. If you ask me, it's no. You know, tires do pick up a little bit of rubber, and you start to get an imbalance.
Comes out right now. We're in pretty good shape here.
She has run such a good, clean race. To find herself in the lead with just 18 laps to go is one heck of a drive.
She led 23 total laps here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. She stays out on the track this time.
I just ran over a little outside. The front end is kind of jerk.
She ran over something. I couldn't quite catch the tail end of it. 17 laps to go. Her lead is 1.7 seconds over Thomas Scheckter. But remember, Scheckter is going to have to stop.
Well, and right now she's doing 217.5 miles an hour. Scheckter's running just over 219. Bertrand Baguette,
right now,
220. So they're going to catch her surely. You heard next couple laps.
You heard 10 laps away. That means they're going to need fuel with 7 to go. The guy we better keep our eyes on, remember, Dario Franchitti, he stopped right before we went back to green flag racing. He is in good place right now. He pitted on lap 164, and they think they can go the distance.
And that was a very confident call from their side to take him out of the lead and have him come in for fuel. It's working out their way right now.
Let's get more from Vince Welch.
Scott, you were just talking about the fact that her speeds were not up to snuff in regards to those that are chasing her. Remember, Danica Patrick had to start 25th today. They had to make the decision, as you look at her husband Paul looking on, they had to make the decision in regards to a downforce level. Give her enough downforce that made her car stable enough to get through traffic, but they knew that could hurt her once she needed the sheer speed, and we might be seeing that right now.
Great observation. And in that situation, she's doing everything that she can. Her foot will be flat on the gas and driving as hard as she can.
But she's about to get gobbled up. When that big group catches up to her, they're about 2 to 3 miles an hour faster than she is.
15 laps to go. Her lead over Bertrand Baguette is now 1.3. Thomas Scheckter is now third. Baguette has gotten around him. Scheckter is third by 2 seconds.
Second place car, Bertrand Baguette, is a car that's owned by Bob Rahal. We talked about that before in conjunction with David Letterman.
Scott Dixon is just on a lap at 223.
And to give you an idea, Danica's last lap, 218. So unless the yellow comes out, this could be a replay of 2005 when Dan Weldon tracked her down.
And Marty, you talked about situation with fuel. Dario Franchitti, he actually pitted on about lap 164. J.R. Hildebrand, who drives for Panther in the National Guard machine, also pitted on that same lap.
They are running 5th and 6th right now. Franchitti 3.2 seconds behind Hildebrand, 8.4.
And Baguette has her in his crosswires.
Baguette from Belgium, one of 13 different countries represented in this year's Indianapolis 500. 11 Americans, and the most famous American is about to be overtaken because Baguette is closing.
It'll probably happen down the back straight. He just did a lap at 222.
They both pitted on lap 159, so they're both in the same position. They cannot go the distance if it stays green.
Eddie, you know what this position's like for Danica Patrick right now. Her foot is flat on the gas. Heart rate is racing right now. She's pushing as hard as she can, and she's driving into the turn, hitting her marks, and just going, come on, I need more speed.
These things will only go so fast. Once you get the throttle all the way down, that's it. That's all they have. And we explained very well that she has a lot of downforce in her car right now, but she's doing, I think it's going to happen right about here.
Going for the lead, Bertrand Baguette with 12 laps remaining, and we have our 10th different leader, our 22nd lead change.
A race car driver from Belgium.
And I bet the record book, he might be the first in Belgium. As there's Thomas Scheckter, he has made his final stop. Remember, he was 9 laps fewer on the availability to go the distance than those two in front of him. I'm checking the speeds for Dario Franchitti. He's running a conservative pace right now at 2:18. He knows that all these cars in front of him have to stop if this race goes
So he's starting to save fuel already. He's trying to figure out from his pits. They're telling him, save as much fuel as you can, stretch it to the end.
Rick, what have you got on Bertrand Baguette?
Well, the first thing you need to remember with Bertrand Baguette is he has not raced since last year. He has not been in the series this year. He came back to run this race and got back in. However, he's been working with Dallara on a simulator. As a result, even though he hasn't gotten real seat time, he's been in that simulator helping to develop it for Dallara, and as a result, has been getting virtual seat time, which plays well. Now, as you said, he pitted on lap 159. Realistically, running this fast, running this hard, he's not very likely to make it to the end.
He finished 22nd in his one and only Indianapolis 500 last year. Right now, he is out in front of Danica Patrick by 0.7 of a second, and Danica has brought it into pit lane. Vince?
You hear the radio talking with Danica Patrick to come around the Marco Andretti pit, that of her teammate. She led this race, but the fuel strategy just didn't pay off. The unfortunate timing of the yellow flags costly for Danica as her car continued to get better throughout the day, but a little bit short in the centennial anniversary of the Indianapolis 500.
And the right rear was slow on the tire change. You see side by side with Marco Andretti as they both come out of pit lane. Baguette continues.
10 laps to go. We're down to 10 laps.
And guess who's now cycled through to second place? The 10 car of Dario Franchitti with J.R. Hildebrand right behind him. Those two do not have to stop.
But it's going to be very tight on fuel, so the one that saves the most fuel, that is the most efficient, I think has got the best chance.
Baguette's last lap, 2:16, 2:21 for Dario.
And the Panther machine with J.R. Hildebrand, the rookie, driving that car. Remember, Panther has finished second here twice. They certainly have a good car. He has done a very nice job today keeping his nose clean and experiencing the Indianapolis 500, especially with the difficult restart procedures, Eddie.
But he's a full 9 miles off Dixon that's running behind him.
He gets around Alex Lloyd, who is in 18th position, now 2 laps down.
So is Panther gambling? If they're now running 215 miles an hour, have they calculated that he can run 215 without having to come in? Are they going to take a shot at it that way?
That's what it looks like. And the two teammates, Danica and Marco, are, it looks like, running together. If they do that in the right manner, they can catch up.
Well, but they need help because they're 39 seconds behind the race leader without something happening, because you know Dario Franchitti can go the distance. Unless she gets a yellow, both of them aren't going to get it done.
You never give up in this place because you never know what's going to happen.
Well, is Franchitti going to make the distance, because it is somewhat close? Is Hildebrand with that real slow speed? Is he maybe doing the right approach with the Panther team to maybe go on that slower speed throughout here to 16 that last time by?
7 laps remaining. Baguette's lead over Franchitti is 5.8 seconds. The last lap for Baguette, 2:18. The last lap for Franchitti, 2:08.
Aha! They've caught on. They know they probably can't make it.
2:08. Remember, at this stage of the race last year, we were in fuel economy run mode then. Remember, it was the 10 and the 4. Dan Weldon was in the 4 last year. Whoa, look at that move. Getting around the slower traffic, as that was Scheckter and Danica. That is for position 11th and 12th. And that was Charlie Kimball, I believe, that they got around. Yes.
Dario's pace has really dropped off. And Bertrand Baguette is just at a 2:18.
His lead is up to 8.2 seconds. Could there be an issue other than fuel for Dario? We have 6 laps remaining. On board with Charlie Kimball. He has done a magnificent job today. Racing with diabetes, this is the farthest he has ever gone in a race car. He's running 12th right now. Last car on the lead lap, 40 seconds behind the race lead.
Amazing. He didn't just have the dashboard to worry about the engine, had his own engine to worry about, and he's run flawlessly the whole day. 5 laps to go.
And the lead is up to 10 seconds. Bertrand Baguette could make history here, stunning everyone. Dario's last lap, 2:04.9.
is in a full fuel conservation mode.
And what it's allowing is J.R. Hildebrand to close. Hildebrand is less than 2 seconds behind Dario. They're telling stick to the fuel number.
I do not believe that Bertrand Baguette is going to make it. So right now, you have to expect that he is going to have to come in for a pit stop here shortly.
And I think that's what Franchitti thinks also, because he's almost given up the chase.
4 laps remaining. We hear from pit road that they are laid out for a pit stop for Bertrand Baguette. Hildebrand has just gotten around Dario Franchitti while we focused here our action on our race leader. So now J.R. Hildebrand, who stopped at the same time with Dario, is in second place. The rookie could inherit the lead. Here comes Baguette. Baguette is coming down pit road. There'll be 3 laps to go this time by, and J.R. Hildebrand is going to have the race lead in a nip-and-tuck battle. Right behind him is Dario Franchitti. Here they come down the front stretch.
And he just did a 2:09, so it looks like he's in fuel conservation mode also.
Franchitti, his last lap was 2:01. He is less than a second behind J.R. Hildebrand. 3 laps remaining. Let's go back and show you the pass. It was for second place at the time. And now the 23-year-old rookie is in the race lead.
Only at Indy.
Next time by, 2 laps remaining. Rick, give us an update on J.R. Hildebrand.
Well, let's talk about what happened last year. That's what's significant. Dan Weldon was driving for Panther at the time. Remember, he pitted early. He saved fuel at the beginning of the stint. As a result, because he saved fuel at the beginning of the stint, Weldon was able to run fast at the end, at the very end of the race. They've done the same thing with J.R. Hildebrand. He pitted early, saved fuel at the beginning of the stint, so you have it to run at the end, and that's what he's doing right now. Could he be the next rookie winner of the Indy 500?
His last lap was at 2:16.
Well, Scott Dixon has gotten around, and so has Dan Weldon. Dario Franchitti is 4th, so his chances look like they have faded for the year. Here comes J.R. Hildebrand. This time by, the white flag is in hand. 2.5 miles.
Come on, baby, bring it home.
Keep going. The 23-year-old from Sausalito, California. Listen to the crowd cheer him on.
And how fitting for the National Guard car to win if he can indeed do that. If he got enough fuel to make it to the end.
Half a lap. He's got half a lap to go, and he's the Indy 500 champion.
Panther Racing, oh so good. They finished second here. Twice here they come again through the final 2 corners. J.R. Hildebrand.
Careful of traffic.
He's got to get around the lap. Traffic. 100 years. He hit the wall. Just like Thomas Schaefer.
Keep your foot on the gas.
Dan Weldon is going to win the race.
That is unbelievable. Oh my goodness.
Weldon, after finishing second the last 2 years, wins when J.R. Hildebrand hits the wall coming out of 4, just as Scheckter did.
What a tremendous finish. And what a drive for Weldon. I've been saying it all day, that outside lane is a...
That was Dan Weldon, if you didn't know. Absolutely incredible finish here at the 100th anniversary of the Indianapolis 500.
Whew. Driving for Brian Herta Motorsport.
Stay out on the track. Stay out on the track.
He becomes the 9th driver with 2 wins. And while he is celebrating, J.R. Hildebrand is aching inside.
Yeah.
Well done, my man. Well done.
Let's go back and show you what happened.
We talked about being outside the groove, up in the gray. An experienced driver would have just throttled back a little bit and turned around and just got off the gas. As you watch Dan Weldon start to drive by. Look at this.
That's just 2 feet in the wrong place. And it's been happening all day long. He almost won it with 3 wheels.
Can you imagine the feeling that that young rookie has.
And here comes the 98 to get past, and look at how close it really was. There is Dan, and there comes Hildebrand coming across the line, and look at the reaction, and John Barnes can't believe it, and neither can the rest of his team.
Oh, how heartbreaking. What a great drive.
Hildebrand is shaking his head, and he still crossed the line in second place.
Now, I'm sure that's a record.
You just won the Indy 500 again.
Let's take a look at Dan Weldon's team. Look at Brian Herta with the headset. On the right-hand side, fist in the air. And he is with our Jamie Little.
He still can't believe it. He just said unbelievable. He was Dan Weldon's teammate when he won this race the first time in 2005. Brian, how did you convince this guy you guys could do it together as a team?
Well, I don't know exactly how I convinced him, but Dan Weldon's the best race car driver at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway probably ever. We're so lucky to have him in our car, and we get great support from William Rast and all of our sponsors, and we just won the Indy 500. Can you believe that? I can't believe, I mean, you know, we came here to win, and we kept saying we're here to win, but we actually won.
Brian Herta, second time at the Indy 500 as a team owner. He wins it with Dan Weldon, and guys, Sam Schmidt's car is the one that goes to victory lane. He will be in victory lane as well. Rick?
Well, standing by with John Barnes. Yeah, it's your fourth second in a row, but you came so close. What do you have to say about J.R. Hildebrand today?
Well, I think he was incredible. I think he did a hell of a job. The guys did too. I mean, you know, to come here with a rookie guy and his first Indianapolis 500, you know, he'll rethink turn 4 for a long time, but you know, he put us where we're at. You know, he drove the hell out of that thing all day long, and you know, it just is one of those things. You know, we got to hold our heads up high.
When he made that last pit stop, did you think he was going to be able to make it all the way to the end?
He really had to save fuel, and again, I mean, he put us in a position to win. You know, we told him what fuel number we had to get. It was almost impossible to do, you know, but he did it, you know, and so, you know, he drove the wheels off of it and stuff. I couldn't be prouder of him today.
John Barnes, once again, a little bittersweet. Yeah, he got second place the fourth time in a row, but oh, what it could have been.
And Weldon now approaching the Honda victory lane. His last pit stop, you heard John talk about, was at lap 177. J.R. Hildebrand comes across at second. Graham Rahal at age 22 is third, his best finish ever. Tony Kanaan, that win is still eluding him, is fourth. Oriol Servia rounds out the top 5. This is absolutely amazing. Look at Dan, the emotion as he realizes he's back in victory lane.
Well, I had a conversation with Dan just during the week, and he said he's looking for something else to do, some other rides, and he said, you know, I guess what I'm going to end up doing is see his wife Susie getting inside the cockpit. He says, I get up every day and I have breakfast, I exercise, and I work hard just towards the future. I do not have another ride for the rest of the year.
And the man down in victory lane is our own Vince Welch.
Dan Weldon, I'm surprised. It's a good thing he didn't have to drive the car into victory lane because he had such tears coming out. He was wiping his eyes as you see Alex Tagliani lean in and shake the hand and share the emotions of victory lane with Dan Weldon. Take a look at how Dan Weldon managed to make it to victory lane. He was running behind the fastest rookie qualifier, J.R. Hildebrand, when Hildebrand crashed with the lead in turn 4, and Weldon inherited the lead and the victory at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Dan Weldon, who won this race in 2005, has won it again. Driving for Alzheimer's. His mother has been recently diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and it has certainly been something that has weighed heavy on the heart of Dan Weldon. And today, he certainly brings the spirit of his mother to victory lane. She was not able to travel here today to be with him. Remember, Dan Weldon did not have a full-time ride. He did not have a full-time ride leading into this season. And it's a bit of vindication, I'm sure, for those that would not present him with the opportunity for that full-time ride this season. Tim Manganello, the chairman and CEO of Borg Warner, will place the wreath around the neck of Dan Weldon. Now, Brian Herta, the team owner, comes in. The tears just streaming down the face of Weldon. Dan Weldon is your winner of the 2011 Indianapolis 500, the centennial anniversary victory. Getting a hug from his wife, Susie. What a terrific, terrific win for Brian Herta, Steve Newey, the ownership team. Richard Thomas and Dave Forgy about to present the milk to Dan Weldon. Oh, how sweet it must taste. Brian Herta takes a swig. Now his wife Susie comes up. Everybody enjoying the milk here at Indianapolis in Victory Lane. Guys, Dan Weldon is so emotional, they could hardly get him to be here to drink the milk. We need to get Dan to the front of the car to do the winner's interview. There's so many people that he's thanking. He's so emotional. Dan, congratulations on winning the Indianapolis 500. I know so many emotions must be going through your mind. What did you think when you came around 4 and saw Hildebrand in the wall?
You know, I was just trying to go as hard as I could. I knew it was the last lap, and they said that a lot of those guys were struggling on fuel, and I just kept pushing. You know, I just want to say thank you, obviously, to my wife for the support through being a part-timer right now. So it's a fantastic achievement. To the fans for being here, for Brian Herta and everybody at Brian Herta Autosport that, you know, have just given me such a dream ride, and there's so many other people I want to thank. I want to thank Honda. Honda have always been behind me 110%. There's no organization like Honda. William Rast, I mean, totally my style. It's a great sponsor for me, and I feel like a fashionista, so I'm going to be wearing jeans tomorrow night. I know I'm supposed to dress smart, but I'm going to be wearing my William Rast jeans, and you know, Curb Records, Big Machine Records, Full Size Solutions, IGO. It's been absolutely phenomenal, but I love Indianapolis. I love the people. You know, I love everything about it. The tradition, the history, Firestone. I don't know what to say anymore. You know, I'm not.
Take us back to the moment that you actually saw Hildebrand in the wall and you knew you were going to win the Indianapolis 500.
I just felt a lot of relief. Obviously, I knew it was okay because I could see him moving, but you know, it's an incredible feeling. I've been runner-up the 2 years before this, and I never gave up. I mean, Canard nearly put me in the wall going into 3, which was very, very interesting. But there's a lot of great storylines today, and I want to say hi to my family back home and my mother, and you know, the Alzheimer's Association for giving me the opportunity to represent them. It's just an incredible day.
Congratulations, Dan Weldon, the winner of the Centennial Anniversary Indianapolis 500.
Taking my kids to Disney, baby. I'm taking my kids to Disney.
You could sense the emotion when he talked about his mom. You heard Vince explain why, and look at that elation as the celebration has just begun for Brian Herta Motorsports and his man, Dan Weldon, now a 2-time winner of the Indianapolis 500. The celebration continues here at the Honda Victory Lane. Dan Weldon winning his second Indianapolis 500 on the 100th anniversary of this greatest spectacle in racing. We all thought going into the final corner that man right there in the 4, National Guard DeLara, was going to win it. J.R. Hildebrand got too high, tags the wall, and his dream will have to wait for another year. Let's talk to him, Rick DeBrule.
Well, needless to say, not a lot you can even ask here, JR. What happened on that last lap?
Man, you know, we were obviously way at the end of, you know, a fuel stint, and I just thought, you know what, I'm gonna get around Charlie. I knew that the guys behind me were coming, and I thought I don't want to have to stop going through turn 4 and have these guys back up on me. You know, we were super tight on fuel, and so I went to the high side. As soon as I got up there, I just got up in the marbles and, you know, pushed up in the wall.
You're a rookie here at Indy. You got to talk about this experience, what it was like to lead, what it was like to run here your first race and do so well up to the end.
You know, man, like, I owe all of it to this team. This team deserved to win today. They've come in second the last 3 years in a row, and I really didn't want to be the next bridesmaid when it came to us at the end there. You know, if we were running great and we finished 5th and that was the best we could get, you know, that's just what you get, you know. But, you know, we have a chance to win for a team like this on Memorial Day weekend with all the soldiers. We got a bunch of people out here this weekend. You know, I felt like I really owed this to them and this team. And, you know, it's just a bummer to come home second again.
J.R. Hildebrand, I got to tell you guys, after he came out of the medical center, wouldn't stop to do an interview because he said, I want to go talk to my team first. These guys put me here. I need to talk to them.
He'll learn a lot from this experience, and he has nothing to hang his head about. He was trying to win his first Indianapolis 500 as Dan Weldon celebrates his second win. Dario Franchitti faded to 12th, the last car on the lead lap. We'll talk to him when we come back and find out what happened to his race car, because he was good all day long. Dan Weldon continues to celebrate here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in Victory Lane. His win over a heartbroken J.R. Hildebrand. And third place going to 22-year-old Graham Rahal, his best finish ever here at the 500. Tony Kanaan, Oriol Servia round out the top 5. And then positions 6 through 10, Dixon, Baguette, Schechter, Andretti, and Danica Patrick, with Ed Carpenter and Dario Franchitti rounding out the cars on the lead lap. Let's talk to Dario Franchitti. Jamie?
He actually had to come in and pit on that final lap of the race. He finishes 12th today. And Dario, if you could do it all over again, do you think you guys should have stayed on your teammates' strategy?
I don't know. I know we worked very, very hard today, the whole Target team, to get the car in the lead. But I'm not going to second guess my guys on the timing stand. You know, in the past 2 years, we won 2 championships and 2 Indy 500s, taking those kind of calls. And we were in a position to win another Indy 500 today. Just didn't work out our way. I'm pretty devastated right now. I don't think that's too strong a word. I'm pretty upset. Jeez. As I said to you before, that's as good as I know how to do it. That's it. You know, that's all I got. So, on the one hand, I can be proud I did a good job today, but the result would have been nice too. Bright spot today, definitely Dan and Brian winning this race. You know, Brian is a team owner, which is kind of a scary thought, actually. And Danny Boy, who's awesome at this place, phenomenal. I'm really happy for those guys. See TK finish 4th. Hey, Graham Rahal 3rd. Yeah, that was good. But for us, myself, my teammate Scott Dixon, we both had cars to win today, and we didn't get it done.
Dan Weldon, Brian Herta, of course, former teammates of Dario Franchitti. He led a quarter of the race today, but he ends up 12th. Marty.
A total of 51 laps, and there is a very happy Graham Rahal, his best finish ever here at Indy, 3rd. We'll talk to him when we come back.
The 100th anniversary of the Indianapolis 500. Telecast presented by GoDaddy.com. Brought to you by the all-new Chevrolet Camaro convertible and Verizon. Keep up with the sport you love with enhanced video quality through the speed and power of Verizon's 4G LTE network. IndyCar Mobile, only from Verizon.
From high above, there's J.R. Hildebrand, and boy, he's answering every question, and it's got to be just heartbreaking to him. And you want to talk about the fact, you know, he was racing for the National Guard. Well, our troops were watching over in Baghdad. And here was their reaction when they saw their car hit the wall at the Indianapolis 500. They couldn't believe it either. They were cheering on the number 4 of rookie J.R. Hildebrand. Graham Rahal comes home with a career best finish here, and boy, he's had some troubles here his first 2 years. How about it, Doc?
Marty, the team tells me today, Graham, that you passed a total of 66 cars, having to go to the back and come in the front and gain 7 on that final restart. What was the difference for you and this team today?
I think the whole time we felt that the Service Central car was going to be really good in race trim, and it was. I mean, you know, right away we moved up the field. By the first yellow, we had gained already 10 positions or 11 positions. You know, I mean, we just kind of methodically worked our way forward. Really, what hurt us was we got caught out about 70 laps to go. We pitted. The yellow came out as we were in the pits, and we lost a lap. And fortunate to get it back, and then obviously march from 15th back up to 3rd. So I can't be more proud of my Service Central boys, and it's really thanks to Chip Ganassi and everything that they do that made this possible.
When the day began, you said the Rahal name has a lot of expectations. You said it was time I lived up to. Let me ask this guy here, your dad, Bobby Rahal. Did he live up to the Rahal expectations today?
I think he drove a beautiful race. You know, it's really hot. You know, starting back in 29th, you know, there's only one way to go, but boy, is it hard, and you saw those restarts, and I'm glad I stopped racing a long time ago. I didn't have to live through that because I had my heart in my throat a few times, and he stayed out of trouble, and you know, he was fast when he needed to be fast, and I think he passed everybody more than once, that's for sure, and I'm just really proud of him. He did a fabulous job.
Marty, on the 25th anniversary of his dad's Indy 500 win, young Graham Rahal comes very, very close.
And from starting position, he did pass the most cars, 26 in all from his 29th starting position. Tony Kanaan was second on that list with 18. The parade around the track for Dan Weldon, and we'll be back with more after this message from our ABC station. Look at Dan Weldon. He's standing on the back seat of the Camaro convertible pace car, waving to all the fans. They're on the backstretch right now, doing an interview there with the PA announcer Dave Calabro, along with Brian Herta and other members of the team. I don't think you could fit more people in that car. But as they continue their celebration, let's find out about Danica Patrick's day. She came home in 10th, Jamie.
Not too bad. She led 10 laps, and then it was all strategy, Danica. You ended up having to come in for fuel. If you could do it over again, was that the right call?
Yes. You got to take the chance to win at Indy. I was just saying, I'd much rather come away finishing a little lower, but having that chance to win at some point in time. So it was great to lead laps. We started pretty far back. It's so, every time I come here, it's more and more depressing when I don't win the race. And I'm sure lots of people feel like that, but Dan Weldon, he's a great winner. And what a great story. You know, he hasn't run this year, and to come here with Brian Herta at only a second Indy 500 and to win, that's really cool. He's a great winner.
Last week, the drama around you, you almost didn't qualify for the race. What was it like today, getting that car in position and then ending up 10th overall?
I had a great week leading up to qualifying, so I feel like the hiccup in the whole month so far was just qualifying. So carb day, we were not fast, but we were strong, I felt like, as a car, and I feel like today here I felt like we were pretty good. I feel like maybe we'd have struggled if we were in the lead and might not have had the speed to stay in the lead, but you know, the way that things were playing out at the end, that wasn't going to be with the situation. So I think everybody did a good job. We kept our heads up, and man, it sure would have been a shame if my pretty green GoDaddy car wasn't out there, but we got out there and we made our way up. We made our way up there faster, I think, this year than last year, so I'm pleased.
All right, Danica Patrick leads. Dan Weldon wins. It's like a repeat of 2005, Marty.
You're right, Jamie. It certainly was. How about some final thoughts? First up, Scott Goodyear.
Well, I think you have to look at this. We said it was going to be wide open, and it certainly was. You've got 5 different teams in the top 5 in the finishing results, so we saw that here today, a small team with Brian Herta Motorsport and Steve Newey winning the race, but I'm looking forward to next year with 2012 new cars and turbo engines and higher speeds, Eddie.
I think it was the perfect race for the end of an era. It was The track was difficult. There were so many different leaders. I lost count of how many people led this race. The fastest car didn't race, but I'm so glad that it ended in the way that it did for Dan.
10 leaders, 24 lead changes, and it was a great 100th anniversary celebration of the Indy 500. You see Tony Kanaan? We'll talk to him when we come back here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Some kisses are sweeter than others. 32-year-old Dan Weldon kisses the bricks for the second time in his fabulous career. And still to this day, Tony Kanaan has not had the pleasure of kissing those bricks even once. He wound up fourth today, and he is with Vince Welch. So let's go to Vince.
One of the sentimental favorites today, Tony Kanaan finishing fourth. What was the defining memory for you in this Indianapolis 500?
Having to drive through the pack twice, but it was an awesome race, great crowd. What a great race, what a way to win. Dan Weldon, we had a good car, but we had too much downforce for where we started it, so fourth place, it's not bad for a team that we put it together 5 days before the first race.
Tony Kanaan, there's no doubt about it, Brent. This guy can drive it, and he certainly can drive it at Indianapolis.
Absolutely, Vince. The agony and the ecstasy of the Indianapolis 500. 100 years of unbelievable memories. So here's a question for all you viewers and listeners. What are you going to remember the most? Dan Weldon here, capturing his second, or J.R. Hildebrand coming out of turn 4 and taking it up into the wall? It is that kind of a day. We started with numerous stories, and we wind up with even more. Here was a young man at the age of 23 from Sausalito, California, headed for the checkered flag. He took it to the wall, and still he was able to keep on coming and wind up in second place. The Rookie of the Year almost wound up with the milk. And instead it was Dan Weldon flashing through for his second victory for the Englishman. And you know his owner, Brian Herta? Well, back in 2005, ladies and gentlemen, Herta wound up third. He chased Weldon to the finish line, but he never forgot how good a driver Dan Weldon really is. And when he had a chance as an owner to hire him and put him behind the wheel, that's the man he wanted. So here today, the IndyCar has another memorable chapter as we wrap up the 100th anniversary of the Indianapolis 500. We'll see you again in a few weeks at the Milwaukee Mile. So long, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 100th anniversary edition of the Indianapolis 500 is green. We're getting ready for history here. Our first double foul restart. Oh, look out, car into the wall. Whoa, they're trying 4 wide.
Never give up in this place because you never know what's going to happen.
J.R. Hildebrand is going to have the race again. He hit the wall. Dan Weldon is going to win the race.
That is unbelievable.